Oh, I wouldn't. I'm not sure I'll limit it to 60 seconds.
That's fine.
Number one, what I found despicable is the implication that this language, tremendously odious, actually it could be emblematic of the sentiments of the 260,000 men and women of the Department of Homeland Security. Number one. Number two, Senator Hawley takes a adversarial approach to me in this question, and perhaps he doesn't know my own background. Perhaps he does not know that I am the child of a Holocaust survivor.
Jim.
So Ian Carroll was on Joe Rogan, and he's getting a lot of attention. And with a lot of attention comes with people calling him a grifter and an op. In fact, here's one of the people doing it right here.
Ever wonder how Ian Carroll got famous out of nowhere?
Oh, yeah.
1 minute, no one's heard of him. Next.
No, I never actually wondered that because I would watch his videos, and they're fantastic.
Yeah.
And they're super informative. And I remember when he ratioed Elon Musk over Israel, telling the truth about Israel. So,
well, then that genocide they did on that concentration camp they were running out there, everybody saw that Israel bragged about, like psychopaths on TikTok.
Yeah.
Not people exposing them, the IDF bragging, people found out. And I imagine it made him real popular because he was talking about it, whereas other people were not.
Same. Here we go. Same thing with Jackson Hinkle, but here we go.
This minute, he's everywhere. Rogan, podcasts, social media, viral clips. Isn't that odd? When things move that fast, there's usually money behind it.
Oh.
And then there's who's Whitney Webb? Ian's out here promoting her books like it's the best thing since sliced bread. But here's what Ian won't tell you. Whitney Webb's work is published by Minar Mahoush, a Palestinian activist with a clear political agenda.
Oh, she's published by a Palestinian activist. Oh my God!
That's all I need to hear. Nima.
That's all I need to hear.
He's like a finance bro too, by the way. You know what he normally does is talk about crypto and shit. This scumbag, yeah.
Okay, so watch this.
Believe me, her face is in my tweet reply. Check the receipts if you think I'm lying. And here's the part that's sort of dark comedy. Ian and his Qatari-backed bot farm will smear anyone who asks obvious questions. They'll slander your name, your motives, but they won't go near this fact. Ian says follow the money in his profile. Okay, let's do that.
Okay.
But why does that rule only apply to Israel, Ian? Never Qatar, huh? Never you, huh? So let's ask the honest question. Ian, who's paying you? What country are you working for while you're busy dividing Americans and undermining Israel? This isn't accidental. This is coordinated. And it is funded. The only way this ends is if people wake up. So if you're American, share this video to break the machine of these foreign bots and agents on X trying to divide us all right here in America.
Okay, so Ian...
is that what's happening? No shit.
So Ian responds to this guy.
So we knew that after I did Joe Rogan, they would come after me instead of after the arguments. And the tactic they've all settled on is saying I'm paid by Qatar to spread Qatari propaganda.
Ever wonder how Ian Carroll got famous out of nowhere? 1 minute, no one's heard of him. Next minute, he's everywhere. Rogan, podcasts, social media, viral clips. Isn't that odd? When things move that fast, there's usually money behind it.
Probably not wise to say this, but my total net worth is like about $30,000, including all the cash in all of my bank accounts, all of my assets, all of my cryptocurrencies, everything I own. It's about that much. I don't have any shell companies. I don't have any secret LLCs. My parents don't hold any money for me. I literally live out of a minivan traveling the country with my dog and all of my belongings. When TikTok started to cancel me, I actually had to get a small loan from my parents to fix my car at the time because I couldn't afford my rent. Thanks, Mom. And no, I'm not being paid by any governments. Although I should clarify that I am starting to work with a company that is going to help me redo my store and rebrand everything and actually not be poor anymore because I think it's time I'm not poor anymore. And it's good to...
And then there's who's Whitney Webb? Ian's out here promoting her books like it's the best thing since sliced bread. But here's what Ian won't tell you. Whitney Webb's work is published by Minar Mahoush, a Palestinian activist with a clear political agenda.
No shit, because if she published that book with any of the other Zionist publishers or any publishers that could be pressured by Zionists, none of us would have the book. The facts in the book are the facts in the book. Refute the evidence or take a hike. Doesn't matter who prints a page of paper. It matters what's on the page of paper, bro.
And here's the part that's sort of dark comedy. Ian and his Qatari-backed bot farm will smear anyone who asks obvious questions. They'll slander your name, your motives, but they won't go near this fact. Ian says follow the money in his profile. Okay, let's do that. But why does that rule only apply to Israel, Ian? Never Qatar, huh? Never you, huh? So let's ask the honest question. Ian, who's paying you? What country are you working for while you're busy dividing Americans in under...
Okay, I know that to Nima, it's unbelievable that someone would not be working for a foreign government, wink, wink. But let's be really clear. I have been extremely transparent across my entire time on these platforms where my money comes from. I've done a number of brand deals with family and founder-owned companies, which I've clearly disclosed, and I've never taken any money from any NGOs, governments, PACs, any organizations that I did not explicitly know that they were family and founder-owned. All of my money comes from views and subscribers. I guess I've sold shirts too. I sell shirts, although not very well. And I already disclosed that I'm poor as fuck for how big my platform is. So, oh yeah, and I've also never paid an editor, a manager, any help or any bot farms or anything of that nature. I am literally a solo actor with a dog, although I'm working on hiring a team right now to become a professional. Feels long overdue. Maybe I should see if there's any Qatari people that want to help me out. But no, on the real. It's a great idea. Let's follow the money on Qatar, bro. Let's do a dig into Qatar. If you don't know what Qatar is this little booger sticking off the side of Saudi Arabia. And it's like, seems really unimportant. And it was until they discovered they had a shitload of natural gas off the coast. And now natural gas is like their entire economy. And depending on which source you look at, you can actually learn a lot about the area by looking at what everyone's top exports are. Electronics and software, there's a whole rabbit hole there. Or if you want your source to be the OEC, then diamonds, there's a whole other rabbit hole there. But let's just start on Wikipedia for starters about Qatar and Qatar's support for Hamas. In a controversial deal, Israel's government under Benjamin Netanyahu supported Qatar's payments to Hamas for many years in the hope that it would turn Hamas into an effective counterweight to the Palestinian Authority and prevent the establishment of a Palestinian state. That is despite Israel and the Zionist lobby's long history of an army of editors all over Wikipedia. Notice that these sources are from like 2010. You can read all about this kind of stuff. He used electronic intifada. Discredit everything he's ever said. Or you could look at CNN's reporting how Qatar sent millions to Gaza for years with Israel's backing. Here's what we know about the controversial deal. Benjamin Netanyahu, central to it. The Palestinian Authority opposed the Qatari funding at the time, which Hamas said was meant for the payment of public salaries as well as medical purposes. Israel approved the deal in a security cabinet meeting in 2018. Even then, Netanyahu was criticized by his coalition partners for the deal and for being too soft on Hamas. Secret, that's not being soft on him. It's a bigger thing. Qatar maintains close ties with both Hamas and Western states. And they've played a leading role in the release of hostages kidnapped on October 7th and held by Hamas in Gaza. Although let's be real, none of the hostage deals seem to go all that well. Now let's poke at the leadership in in Qatar. Qatar has been building a sizable wealth fund. They think they're at about $500 billion of wealth in this investment authority at this point. They're led by Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, who is an authoritarian ruler. There are no elections. It's basically a monarchy. In 2014, it looks like they made it illegal to criticize or insult the region's royal families on the internet. Well, buddy, you married your fucking cousin. That's fucking gross. Qatar has had very strong relationships with Israel for quite a long time. Sheikh Tamim has been a personal friend of U.S. President Donald Trump prior to the latter's presidency, but he's also spoken out saying that what's going on in Gaza is a genocide, not a peace process. Nothing in this world is black and white, folks. There's been a couple of scandals involving the Qatari royal family, mostly having to do with sexy stuff. A little bit having to do with the FIFA World Cup. This former Qatari foreign minister got caught with a bottle of whiskey and a babe. Oh, that's a scandal because Qatar is ruled by a certain form of Sharia law. I guess it might be termed mixed Sharia law. And Sharia law, I think, gets slandered a lot in the Western world as being super gnarly. But it does have a lot of aspects that are godly and theoretically really good and should be moral and true and all that. But it does include like lashing women for wearing pants. In Brunei, it actually included death by stoning for gay people. But that's old news. These days, they just whip and cut off their limbs. No big deal. The royal family of Saudi Arabia has had some super gnarly scandals, like underage kids and super slothy, nasty parties and stuff. I would bet the Qatari royal family's in on some of that too. But I don't know. I haven't seen any evidence. I did find this source that felt like pretty much like a super Zionist take on Qatar, but they did have a good point here. The Qatari regime utilized its controlled medium, Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera is very much, of that persuasion. But it is a valuable source when you want to get multiple perspectives. I personally don't really use it very much, but as a journalist, it's super important to look for sources around the world so you get outside of your own censorship and information bubble. For the exact same reason, it's useful sometimes to look at RT if you need to get a different part of the world's perspective on some news that's going on. Qatar sends a bunch of funding to U.S. higher education. That is a big scandal. And it kind of ties into the pro-Palestinian protesters being backed by Biden's biggest donors. More notably, George Soros and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which to me, that sounds an awful lot more like controlled opposition, divide the peasants and make them fight each other than actually like do anything positive for Palestine. But I don't know. Especially now the Pritzkers are getting in on it. The Pritzkers have an old history with the mob. This article does a great breakdown of how much money Qatar is sending to fund higher education in America. But then you got to notice that it's written by Barry Weiss. And then she cites this source by Eli Lake where he documented all this stuff. And then, you know, fair, like cool, he's reporting on the same thing. But then you look into Eli Lake and he is also a Jewish Zionist. So you kind of have to take that with a little grain of salt too. If you hadn't noticed, the Zionists in the Israel camp love blaming things on Qatar. Like anything you don't have an answer to, blame it on Qatar. And in some cases, they're true. They're correct. But in some cases, you have to think a little more critically about like the underlying reasons. Because now what do we have? We have anti-Semitism speech laws. We have the Trump administration going after Americans on college campuses for expressing free speech opinions. And I'm not present for this. I don't know the intricacies of who they're going after, how they're going after them, whether it's like horrendous or theoretically constitutional. But it is a damn slippery slope to try to pass speech laws in America on behalf of a foreign nation. You know, freedom of speech is the First Amendment for a reason. But anyways, Nima, hope that clears things up. Question for you. Do you work for a foreign government? Because...
Yeah. Well, look up his IMDb of Nima Yamini. This is what it says. Nima Yamini, entrepreneur. Then it says, Nima Yamini is an American actor, comedian, and author, renowned for his multifaceted career. Born in Atlanta, Georgia, he's the cousin of Nobel Peace Prize laureate Shirin Ebadi. His passion for theater began in his teenage years and was honed at the Stella Adler Academy in New York. And now he gives financial advice on Twitter. He has a whale diary. So, yeah, I bet he's a paid shell.
Okay, enough said.
The Zionist kid from an acting background. Yeah, he's a paid shell. So that's why he's accusing Ian Carroll of that, because that's what he is.
Exactly. Over to Steph.
Wow. All right. Thank you so much, Jimmy. Firebearer, with friends like Israel, big pharma, and defense contractors, who needs enemies? Right, Firebearer. Oh, here we go. Big bells. Jones wish Pocahontas would show as much care for figuring out what causes SIDS, which is responsible for 3,500 infant deaths per year. Jones, thank you. My_war, growing up in the 80s, look at all these needle tracks. You must have a problem. Fast forward to 2025. Everything requires a shot. Same thing with chicken pox. My mom took us to a chicken pox party so we could get it over with. Early 70s. You are right about that one. Buster Blue. I heard about those parties. People should get measles now. It will educate your immune system on fighting cancer. Cancer research is using the measles virus now to actually kill cancer in more recent research. What?
Okay.
That is wild, Rob. Back to Jim.
So Colin Rugg tweeted this out. I'm sure maybe some of you have seen this already, but there's a Simpsons producer. His name is Rick Polizzi.
Oh, yes.
He was forced to demolish his 24-year-old Simpsons-inspired treehouse after the city of Los Angeles demanded he permit it like a single-family dwelling. Thousands of homes burned down, and this is what LA is worried about? He spent $40,000 trying to protect the structure. He tried to get the right permit, but the city keeps gaslighting him. They say I don't have the right permit for it, but I've been trying to make the treehouse legal forever. The city's just not having it. So they wanted soil reports, structural designs, Americans with Disabilities Act compliance for his frickin' treehouse.
Vote Democrat. Vote Democrat.
Here he is. While they're dismantling his treehouse, he's giving an interview. Watch this.
I'm Rick Polizzi. We are out here today because the treehouse that I built with a carpenter friend 24 years ago is coming down. The city has started a criminal trial on it, and that trial is on Wednesday, and the city is going to make me pay for court costs, and it's just kind of being a bully. And so I'm taking it down. We're paying for it to get taken down, so they dismiss the charges. I do not want to go to court on Wednesday, so that's why this is all coming down. Been a lot of people, and that's been great to hear how many people it affected. And we're here at Halloween. We did a big Halloween display called Boney Island, and everybody's been coming by, grown-up people saying, I was here when I was 12 and 13, and that's nice to hear. And you have fond memories of the treehouse, and I'm thrilled to hear that. I'm glad they got to experience it. When I moved in, I just saw these 3 trees in a triangle, and I thought we could build something cool in it maybe. And we started a platform and kept going up till we ran out of tree, basically. And it was a nice hangout, and we always let people go in it. We were never stingy about it. If we were out here, come see the treehouse. You'll get a kick out of it. So we were always open with it. Same with Halloween. It was free, family friendly. I just wanted everybody to get together. I like community events, and I thought it brought people together. We didn't know a lot of neighbors. People keep to themselves, it seems like, in some of these communities. And so I did it so we could meet neighbors and hang out and have fun. And we made tons of friends. So much goodwill. I would not change a thing. I would do it again in a second.
So that's what the city of Los Angeles is doing. They're also making it illegal for private fire departments to access fire hydrants during a fire. So there was a private fire department. Private firefighters were hired by Rick Caruso, who ran for mayor of Los Angeles and lost to Karen Bass. He builds shopping centers and malls. He had one recently built in the middle of the Pacific Palisades, which they all burned down, except for his shopping center. Why? Because he had a plan when a big fire happens. Unlike the city of Los Angeles, their plan was to let it burn down and to have the fire hydrants run out of water. That was their plan. And to drain a 115 million gallon reservoir directly above the Pacific Palisades. That was the LA city government's plan. Their plan was to do nothing when the winds blow and a fire happens. Rick Caruso came up with an idea, a plan to what to do if that happens. He got a plan together, and he saved his shopping center, his mall. Not one building burned. Isn't it amazing that an individual could do that with an entire mall, but a city couldn't do that with a neighborhood? But this is what they're working on. So they immediately sprang into action. They didn't come up with a plan. Hey, I know. Let's buy 1,000. Let's do what Rick Caruso did. Let's buy 1,000 water trucks. Let's buy 1,000 more fire trucks. Let's hire more firemen. Let's have a generating system built in the Pacific Palisades so we can have water pressure when a big fire happens. They didn't do any of that, but they did make it illegal for someone to put out a fire. And now what they're doing to him is making him take down his treehouse. They're hiring lawyers to take the guy to court. That's what your city's doing.
That's a good use of funds. Mayor Chocolate Rain, you've done it again.
Aren't you happy you pay the highest taxes in the nation in California? Aren't you happy?
I moved the hell out. I moved the hell out of there.
I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about moving to Austin. I've
never seen a city run to this level of insanity, and is the fire going to make them wake up? Because a lot of people lost their homes that I know were like Gavin Newsom.
When I was in Austin, I bumped into comedian friends who had moved there. I didn't even know. I'm like, you live here now? Yeah. How do you like it? Love it. I bumped into our photographer who lives there. The guy who used to take pictures at all our live events. The guy who took the pictures of me in San Diego when I taped my special, which I never aired. He lives there. I bumped into him. What are you doing? He goes, I love it. Yeah. There's very little reason to still live in Los Angeles.
It stinks, dude. I mean, after COVID, that was like the last, how Russell Dobler would say, when they're the last bits of juice of fun squeezed out of all the cities. Like, that's why he went to New Orleans. That LA is gone.
Over to Steph.
Well, right now, I just know that I'm staying in LA. Let's see what happens. That's wild. But, it is not the same. It's changed so much in the last 20 years. It's pretty depressing. These cities are burning and will be replaced with smart city technology. Once it has a foothold in LA, it will spread throughout the rest of LA. These fires are the catalyst for 15-minute cities. Yay. All right, here we go.
So I just want to breaking news. This guy, Infowars reporter Jamie White, was gunned down outside his home in Austin, Texas last night.
Whoa.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Infowars reporter Jamie White was brutally murdered in Austin last night after leaving the Infowars studio and returning home. And here's what Alex Jones has to say.
The Infowars family of viewers and listeners into the world with some really horrible news. There are a lot of really cool people that have worked at Infowars over the years, and one of the most amazing people was Jamie White. You know him as a great reporter and researcher. He was up here last night working late during the Sunday show and after it. And we even have his last post on X where he responded to Elon Musk. Jamie was murdered last night outside of his home, just a few miles away from our studios. And we are the folks here breaking that news first because his family has been notified, and his good personal friends here that we're very close to Jamie have talked to his folks and family. We sent some people over this morning when he didn't answer the phone, because he's always here early, loves to work, loves to fight tyranny, loves to promote freedom. And when they got to the apartment complex, there was yellow tape everywhere and blood all over the parking lot. And we went and talked to the manager. They didn't know anything. Just like everybody else we see in the left, they just very laissez-faire. But our crew member saw a police officer and went and talked to them. And they made a phone call, and she had the details when she talked to him and knew Jamie. And the police officer said, yes, he died at the hospital very soon after they got him there. The police responded within 2 minutes, and they had him at the hospital where he was pronounced dead within 18 minutes. Just want to say the police did a great job in the response time, despite, I'm going to talk about in a moment, who I hold responsible for this, and who is responsible for this, and who are accomplices to Jamie and so many others' murder, and so many others that have been raped and mugged. Heard me on air talk about how the crime is very, very bad here in Austin. Any leftist city is, and just exploded the last 4 years. But let me just tell you what happened to Jamie. What we know so far, his last post on X was 16 hours ago. There's Jamie's X account. I've sworn upon the altar of God, eternal hostility against every form of tyranny over the mind of man. Original gangster, Thomas Jefferson. And I mean, I'll just say it. Jamie was our best writer and reporter. They're all great, but they all said he was the best. I mean, there's others that are almost as good, but not as good as Jamie. And he wrote 6-7 articles yesterday, posted all this news, did all this great research, gave us information for the show, assisted us in what we were doing. And we came this morning, the crew looked really upset, and they said Jamie didn't come in. And so we sent one of the crew down there. And didn't look good. And then they didn't even want to tell me yet that the cops had said, no, it was Jamie White, that we were the first to learn. We waited until the afternoon until the family's been told. You saw a little clip from the newscast about this in the early morning hours, and it's just Austin Police Department officers responded to a high priority emergency call at approximately 11:57 p.m. Sunday night. The call was shoot, stab, hot shot, which refers to a high priority potential life-threatening call involving possibility of an active shooter or stabbings. Officers arrived about 2 minutes later and found a male victim, obvious signs of trauma, according to APD Public Information Officer Leah Ratliff. Officers attempted life-saving measures before the victim was transported to a local hospital where he was pronounced dead at approximately 12:19 a.m. Monday morning. Homicide detectives are actively investigating the incident, which marks Austin's 8th homicide of the year. Authorities have not released information about potential suspects or specific nature of the victim's injuries. This is pretty early on in the investigation, and the homicide unit will be releasing more information as they're able, Ratliff said during a media briefing. Well, we've talked to police off record. We know more. I'm going to reveal that right now. Multiple police officers we talked to, detectives, said off record, that we said, we're really sick of this, we're tired of this, and they said, we are too. We have had in the last few years our funding for crime scene people and responders cut back massively. They made the biggest cuts in areas that deal with violent crime, as we know from the news, but this was them telling us. And that they will bust really hardened people with huge rap sheets committing serious crimes, robberies, armed robberies, and that the Austin DA, who, despite all the pressure and everything, is very proud of himself, Soros put him in on record, financed his run, does nothing. In fact, they just intensify it to the point the governors had to put the state police in to Austin just to try to deal with it. And then the state police really don't know anything but writing tickets, so they just write tickets. And I've been really talking about that being a very, very sad thing.
Wow, so sad story. Very sad story. Did you know that guy, Kurt?
No, I don't think I did, but maybe I met him when I did this show. That's wild. Why would he be gunned down? Like, what was he working on?
I don't know.
Because it was just a random shooting. I doubt that.
I doubt it was random.
He was reporting on that guy, that Garza DA, a lot. Jamie White was. I was not like maybe he reported something, but you're a real reporter if you get murdered like that.
Okay, over to Steph.
It's really sad. Okay. Agenda 21 is the reason shit like this happens. Soon it will not be legal to grow your own veggies or have chickens or anything that will produce food. Callie, CPH. Trump's cabinet lobbyist for Qatar? No way. Yes way. That's right. Former registered Qatari lobbyist Pam Bondi. Qatar are pals with Israel. Just want world peace. Thank you for that. Fucking typos. When are all of the noticers, as in noticing the JQ Israel issue, going to start organizing mass protests? McDonsko. Theodore, thanks for telling me about the shirt, and sorry for the rude deportation comment. It wasn't rude. You're funny, Theodore. Thank you for that. Steph's shirt kind of gives me Phoebe Cates 1980s vibes. I love Phoebe Cates. All right. Almost done. Okay. Got it. I hate Rumble. Takes 50% of these rants, but I wonder, do you all know whatever happened to Ben Swan? I.B. Cat.
Yeah, he's still around.
He's still around, according to Jimmy.
We had him on the show a couple months ago.
Firebearer says, Steph for LA mayor. Thank you very much. I would never want to become a bureaucrat like that. You'd have to sell your soul to somebody or some country. Wink, wink. Say no more. All right, let's see here. All right, Jimmy, are you wrapped?
No.
You got another article? Whoa. Okay, Jim. All right, let me go up here, see what I have. All right. I read that one. Rob, Firebird, Jones, Seaweed. Max was criticizing Rogan on his live stream last week, and he sounded almost like Kyle when Kyle was bitching after election. I think Max is spending too much time with the Branch Covidian left. I don't know. Okay, I hadn't watched the show. I don't know what his comments were.
Max Blumenthal?
I guess that's the Max he's referencing.
What do you mean the Branch Covidian? What does that have to do with it?
I don't know. I don't know. All right, let's see here. Great. Okay, so I got to those. Ladies and gentlemen, are you coming to Magoobies March 14th? We've got some tickets available. March 15th sold out. All right, but March 14th, we still have some tickets available, FYI. All right, let's see here. Okay. Let's go. All right. Hold on. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Magoobies is this weekend. And then the tour, April 1st, we have a couple shows. Let's see here. Let's see what our upcoming shows are. Ladies and gentlemen, stand by. Here we go. March 14th and 15th, we're in Magoobies. All right. And then we're in Hartford, Connecticut, April 1st. That's Funny Bones Comedy Club. April 2nd, Syracuse, New York, Funny Bones Comedy Club. April 3rd, Atlantic City, New Jersey, the Claridge Hotel. April 4th, Levittown, New York, Governor's Comedy Club. April 5th, Cohoes Music Hall. That is a beautiful space, just so you know. It's just really, I don't know what the year, I think I want to say that theater is over 100 years old. It's just charming. Then we're in April 6th, Providence, Rhode Island, Comedy Connection. That sold out, so we added another show, and that show's at 8:30 that night. So there's another show, Comedy Connection, 8:30, April 6th. Then May 4th, we're in San Jose, California at the Improv. Beautiful space. May 29th, Toledo, Ohio. September 11th, Appleton, Wisconsin, and more dates to come. And ladies and gentlemen, like we always tell you, come to our show links. Those take you directly to the ticket sales that you want to go to, FYI. All right.
Okay.
Back to Jimmy.